How's it going, everybody? My name is Tom Petrini. This is the Ken's 5 Big Fun Live post-game show. It's good to see everybody. Would be better if we were celebrating a Spurs win, but hey, sometimes it's just not in the cards. Today, they had a wonky matchup against a very large, very skilled Denver Nuggets team. I was expecting them to have a trouble with Denver's size. I was less expecting their prolific three-point shooting. They were really good shooting the ball today, and hit tough shots in this game. Michael Porter Jr. finished with 30 points and 15 rebounds. Spurs, with their small ball lineup, had no vaccine for him. Keldon Johnson maybe could have been that guy. Played a little bit. Actually finished with a career-high 20 points in this game. But at the end of the day, Denver shot 14 of 36 from three, cool 39%. And Spurs just couldn't hang. They couldn't hang on the boards, really. Denver out-rebounded the Spurs 46-35. And down the stretch in this game, really throughout the game, there were some pretty soft foul calls on the Spurs that didn't help. I know I see a lot of you out there on the timeline saying that they're getting jobbed in these games. There were some kind of chintzy calls against Jakob Poeltl in the Sixers game to get him out of the paint in the first minute or so in a huge matchup with Joel Embiid. So obviously the NBA deep state is conspiring to keep the bubble Spurs out of the playoffs. I'm just kidding. That's not our position here. But yeah, Brandon, you're right. At the end of the day for this game, Denver's size was just too much for this Spurs team. There were some defensive mistakes for sure. But yeah, it was a tough game for the Spurs matchup wise. They need Jakob to be big in this game, and Dominic, you're right. He does need to finish stronger. That's something that we saw. It jumped out at the end of that Sixers game when the Spurs had a chance to win. If he could have just dunked that ball home, and he went up pretty soft. There's really no other way to say it. And it didn't work out. And down the stretch in this game, there were a couple of plays where he caught the ball in traffic, and he's 7'1" with a plus wingspan. He should be dunking every single chance he gets. I said during the game, this would be a really good drill for him. Just put like one of those karate boards for chopping in between him and the basket, and he's got to go up with the ball through it and dunk it. That would be a good thing for him. Jacob, yeah, DeJounte, not a great game for him. He finished with just 4 points in this game, 3 assists, 3 steals. Didn't turn the ball over, but he was a minus 19, team low, minus 19 in this game. Evan has talked about this. His shot selection hasn't been so great. He definitely, of the Spurs young guards, he has the most work to do with his shot selection, I think, because he still makes some not so good mistakes out there for your point guard. He was okay defensively. It just came down to the matchup not being there. Lonnie, I think we've seen his shot selection improve pretty vastly over the course of the year, and especially in the bubble. I mean, he's taking good shots. He's spacing the floor. If he catches open at the arc, he's letting that thing fly at a pretty high clip. He's not forcing it. He's been, I think, doing a fantastic job. I'm not sure why his minutes have been so low. He only played 21 minutes in this game. He looked a little dinged up against Philly, but really difficult to ascertain why he isn't getting more playing time right now. Can understand why he wouldn't get the most. I saw somebody bring up Derek White in the comments here. Derek was fantastic today. He had 23 points, I believe. Yeah, 23 points, 7 assists, 2 steals, 3 rebounds, and a block, and a couple of charges. And he's all over the place. He shot 4 of 10 from 3, and it's funny because before the game, Coach Pop said he would be happy if Keldon shot, or if Derek shot 10 threes. And I saw somebody in here mention Keldon Johnson as well. He had a career-high 20 points tonight, 2 of 2 from three-point land. And it was a great question from Bruno Passos, who asked Pop if there was anything that had surprised Pop about Keldon's play. And he basically said, I didn't expect him to shoot this well. So that was a really encouraging sign for Keldon. He's been stroking the ball from outside, and it's been a really solid performance for him. For size for Murray, he is switchable, but in a game like this where Denver has 4 forwards on the court, pretty much all of those guys can give him trouble in the paint. Sorry, hold on one second. Sorry about that. The excitement of working from home. Hold on one second. I'm in the middle of shit right now. Terribly sorry about that. Roommates. So let's get back to it. Spurs are now in a tough spot here. They're going to be 2.5 games back, I think, for this race for 8th, and this. Sorry, hold on. So let me check these standings here. The Spurs are now 2.5 games back. Not a great situation, especially with the Grizzlies falling back now. And it's a really, it's a time when this Spurs team needs to be making a push and really going for it. It's something that this team really wants to do. We can see it. And for them to lose this game after the heartbreaker against the 76ers, this was a game that they needed to win with the Nuggets shorthanded. I know that there is not too much expectation for this Spurs team, but they've exceeded my expectations, certainly. So it's a really tough loss for the Spurs team that needed it. I got to say, positive-wise, Derek White has been fantastic. Rudy Gay, 24 points in this game. Another great performance from Rudy Gay. 9 of 18 from the floor, 2 of 6 from 3, and had 4 rebounds, 4 assists. They'll need to beat the Jazz on Friday. So it's going to be a really difficult road for the Spurs moving forward. They kind of made it tough on themselves by not converting these close, winnable games against the Sixers and the Nuggets. So, I mean, every game for this second half is going to be a fight for the Spurs' lives. As far as the lineup being different with LA, Evan and I discussed this on the last episode of Big Fun Pod, but I mean, I think he can fit in with this team the way they're playing because he spaces the floor and can get good outlet passes, get good rebounds, finish strong, which is something that the Spurs could use a little bit more of. And it's I think he can fit in with this roster moving forward. But really, the Spurs are focused on this next game, and it's going to be another big center matchup for Jakob Poeltl. Poeltl had 2 points today, 1 of 5 shooting, and Jokic had about 20. He had 25 points, 11 assists, 4 rebounds, and was really giving the Spurs trouble. Having a guy like that in the middle who can do a whole lot of different things, it's impressive. He's a really impressive, talented scorer and facilitator. So it's tough for anybody to guard him. He didn't get bullied the same way he got bullied against Philly with Embiid in there, but it was another tough night for Jakob Poeltl, and he's going to have another tough night against Gobert probably. So Poeltl being forced into this starting center role, it's an opportunity for him to prove what he can do. But he's been kind of a mixed bag so far, and he hasn't been getting it done against the better centers in the league. And really the main thing I just want to see from him is finishing strong. That's it. That's the biggest thing. He can do a lot of different things, but at the end of the day, he needs to realize that he's 7'1" with big arms, and he's stronger than he gets credit for. He seems a little bit too tentative for somebody that big. So he's a really important piece on this Spurs team. They put up a graphic in the middle of the game broadcast that he was like a plus 30 net rating when he's on the court. His defense is fantastic, and he does a lot of different things to open guys up on the court. He's a key piece, but he needs to be better in these center matchups. I'm interested to see when the Spurs play the Rockets, how that matchup works out. If the Rockets go with PJ Tucker, if the Spurs maybe go small with somebody that's not Poeltl at center, maybe it's Rudy Gay, especially if he keeps shooting the rock well. Let's talk about Rudy Gay for a second, because he gets a lot of flack from Spurs fans. He doesn't move his feet particularly well on defense, but he's been getting buckets. He's been shooting the ball really effectively. And he's been keeping the Spurs in the game with his scoring, and they've needed it. So Rudy has really impressed me in the bubble. As far as Metu goes, I don't know why he's not playing. I think it's probably because in the time that he's played for the Spurs, he hasn't been great. And the Spurs are getting really good production out of Drew Eubanks. He had 12 points, 5 rebounds today. He's one of those real high activity guys. So Drew playing a little bigger than he is and Jakob playing a little smaller than he is has been sort of an interesting dynamic in these playoffs. Not playoffs, in these games leading up to the playoffs. The Spurs have had opportunities to win these games. Michael, you're right. They had big leads. They had a 9-point lead today, and they were up by 4 with a minute left against Philly. Spurs very easily could be 4-0 in the bubble right now if they had taken care of business down the stretch during these games. And they're going to look at the tape and try to get back at it for the next one, which, as we said, is going to be another tough matchup against the Utah Jazz. That is 2 days from now on Friday. I've seen a lot of discussion about DeJounte's decision making, and I think some of it definitely is he needs to make better decisions, but some of it is you're playing against really tough competitors, and all of these guys are NBA players. So Nuggets role players shot well tonight, and they shot better than I expected they would for a team that small, that big rather. So we'll see if the Spurs can regroup and play well against a more normal-looking team in Utah. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But they're still, despite these 2 losses, in the hunt. So it's going to be a fight to the end, and this Spurs team has a lot of fight in it. So we'll see how it goes. My name is Tom Petrini. You can find me on here at Real Tom Petrini. This is the Big Fun postgame show, and we will be back after the next game. Thank you for hanging out, and see you next time. Go Spurs, go.